Welcome to Monoreel Radio Dockside Chat number 48. I'm Sean.
And I'm Jacki.
What a vibe this place is today. We are coming to you live from Dockside Margaritas at Disney Springs, and that's the only way I can describe it right now. Disney Springs is a vibe.
It is. Crowds are low.
Yeah.
So low we got parking in line.
Yeah.
That was kind of a surprise. I know we're not in the thick of summer tourist season yet. We still have a couple weeks to go for that, but I really wasn't sure if we were creeping up on it yet. Got a great parking spot. Got in here fast. The walkways are just so wide, and they're not, bottlenecking.
Yep.
Seats everywhere that we've wanted to go so far. Not crowded while we're shopping. And the weather, much better than I was expecting this late in the game.
Absolutely. Though I will say that it is starting to get warm, and I know that because you skipped your beloved Chipotle pineapple margarita in favor of a frozen one, which I cannot believe that you did.
I kind of can't either. And I'm not saying that I'm sick of my Chipotle pineapple, and the night is still young. We didn't say I was not having one.
We're not done.
The frozen margarita, because the sun hasn't begun to really set yet. It's still pretty light out. It's still warm. It's not humid, knock on wood.
No, it's nice.
And the breeze is really lovely, but it's still hot. 85 degrees is still 85 degrees, and the frozen marg just sounded so good.
So good that even I jumped in on this trend.
You did, and you've got, you were very smart. This was not a mistake. You grabbed your jack-o'-lantern, your Mickey jack-o'-lantern straw charm in honor of halfway to Halloween. And it pairs so beautifully with your mango margarita. The color is it's popping, I dare say.
Yes, so I went with the mango margarita frozen. You went with the frozen lime margarita. To my knowledge, I cannot recall if we've ever had these flavors before.
Oh.
We must have,
Absolutely.
and I just don't remember it.
This is kicking it back to vacation.
Yeah.
We would always do a frozen marg on vacation.
Well, cheers.
Cheers to you.
Oh, I love Dockside margaritas.
That's good. She's melting. She's melting already, but it's good.
My favorite thing about this is that I taste tequila first and mango after.
You gotta mix it.
This is a frozen margarita. You don't have to mix this. This is good.
You always scold me for not mixing it.
Well, it's different. A frozen one you don't have to worry about because it's already churned up.
Well, and that's the thing, right? I think it is worth noting because I'm sure people are sitting here going, Jacki, why don't you just get the Chipotle pineapple frozen? That would be delightful. The frozen ones are pre-made. There's no way around it. They are in slushy machines. The tequila is just spinning in the margaritas all day long. There's really no way to make them fresh.
But they don't cheat you.
No, they don't.
They really don't cheat you on it.
This is delicious.
Well, we have a lot to discuss.
A lot of new stuff, a lot of variety. I'm so excited. I've been so looking forward to this.
Yeah, I am super excited to get into tonight's conversation.
This episode is sponsored by Hidden Mickey Supply Co. Products include Disney and Pixar-inspired 3D straw charms, ornaments, and personalized photo nightlights. Listeners of Monoreel Radio can get a 10% discount using the code Monoreel10 at checkout. Visit Hidden Mickey Supply Co. on Instagram and Etsy to stay up to date on all of the new releases.
All right,
or get ahead with your Halloween straw charms.
Yes. Let's talk about what we're watching, or more specifically, what you, Jacki, are watching.
You dodged a bullet there. You have an orphan to thank for this.
Can you explain what that means? Because under the wrong context, people are really going to be concerned.
No, we should just leave it there. We are going to get into the bigger context of this conversation. But one of my best friends, going way back to our radio days, I actually met him before I met you.
Yep.
So he's got like a year on you.
Well, I met him before I met you too, so he's the glue that holds it together.
He is the glue that holds it together, and he is infamous on the Long Island airwaves. That's kind of, it's not something we've talked about. Having worked in radio, is how you do acquire a nickname, and it's usually somebody that's been there and been established, a mentor figure that sort of bestows a nickname upon you. So in this case, Andrew acquired the name Orphan Andrew because nobody wanted him. That sounds a lot worse than it is. He got his start very, very young. He was a child actor, actually, on, I don't even know if you know this, on public access television.
This is all news to me. I've known this man almost 20 years.
Yeah, no, he got his start on a public access station in New Jersey, but he loved radio so much he wanted to pursue it, and he was just, you know, the casting role in television called for him to be younger, but he was still too young to do radio. And Broadway Bill Lee, who most people will know from the New York City stations, if you're in the tri-state area, he started calling him Orphan Andrew as a play on Orphan Annie because, quote unquote, nobody wanted him. Both of his parents are alive and well, thank God. So it's not like that, but I just, it's 20 years of calling him Orph. Like, it's very hard to break out of.
Yeah.
So anyway, I have my trip, you know, I usually go back up to visit Memorial Day weekend, and he kept saying, I want to see Devil Wears Prada 2 with you. And I'm sitting here going, gosh, I hope it's still in theaters by the time I get up there. Unbeknownst to me that he was going to be down here.
Yep.
And we would get to see it. We're
He
gonna
sure was.
put a little pin in that for a second. But we went to, I took him to City Walk to see it at Cinemark while he was visiting, and it was great. First of all, we went, I think it was a 4:55 showing. So before people are getting out of work, we had the entire theater to ourselves. There was not a soul in that theater. We were dead center of the theater, so it was great seating. And at the moments where we cackled, it was great because we weren't bothering anybody. And we could, I mean, you know me, I'm not a big proprietor of talking through films, but like if there was a moment where we wanted to like whisper about how savage Meryl Streep is, we were able to do it. It was great. Overall, solid sequel, I will say. It didn't feel like a complete retread, or 20 years later we were trying to recatch lightning in a bottle of The Devil Wears Prada. It wasn't nearly as sharp-tongued as the first one, but it was still good. The storylines and where these characters are at 20 years later didn't feel forced at all. The only place where I deduct a few points is the dialogue. We've talked about this on the show before, is it's the sort of dumbing down of dialogue, because really Netflix led the charge on this. Their directive to their writers is that assume people are on their phones, so have your characters very heavy-handed in the exposition. In case they're not looking at the screen, have them announce what they're doing. And it's terrible. It sounds terrible. For those of us who still are paying attention, let that be the fault of the person on the, especially if they're streaming. If you're streaming, you can rewind it. Why do I have to sit here and be, you know, pandered to like that when I am paying attention? So there were a couple of lines that felt really repetitive. There were a couple of moments where it felt like the characters were like, hey guys, here's what's going on. And the last line, I don't want to spoil it, but Anne Hathaway has the last line, and she should have said something else. It was so obvious what she should have said, and I was kind of baffled by that, because I was like, she's been wearing cerulean the entire time. There are cerulean carpets instead of red. That wasn't heavy-handed enough. But to have her close out with a hat tip to the famous line, like, that was too much for Disney, apparently. So that's like my one little critique. But otherwise, really, really enjoyable. And more important, viable as to where these characters are.
Now, this was the second film that you saw at Cinemark. Now, this was different, though, because when you went to Cinemark the first time, it was very much, it was a staged event. It was an advanced screening of the live-action remake of How to Train Your Dragon. So for those that may not have been, that may not have heard your take on Cinemark as a brand, and I think that this is important when people are coming down here on vacation. You know, sometimes you get those rainy days, or you get that day where it's an off day and it's maybe too hot to sit at the pool and you want to go see a movie. Cinemark, like you said, is at City Walk, and you have AMC here at Disney Springs. How do you compare the two experiences between Cinemark and AMC?
I really have not liked to hate on AMC because it's the Disney Springs Theater, right? Anytime we've gone, it's not the cleanest. There's popcorn all over, which is to be expected. You know, it's families watching movies. But when you're turning over theaters, it should be clean. So that's kind of where AMC has left a bad taste in my mouth, where I would typically pick Cinemark over AMC. This just happened to work out too. We were more in the vicinity of City Walk, but I still would have leaned towards going to see it there versus here. The other thing, this AMC, always crowded. Like I said, there was not a soul in that theater besides the two of us. So that was really, really nice. But overall, Cinemark is the better experience. It just is. It just is. And honestly, this is coming from somebody who treats their theater-going experience as like a sacred thing.
Yeah.
I like a sensory deprivation experience where it's quiet, where there's nobody around, where nobody's filming, where nobody's talking. So those are all things that I'm factoring in here. This was perfect.
Well, let's elaborate on why Orphan was here. And I feel weird teeing this up because, like, I'm not doing this for an attaboy. I'm not doing this to toot my own horn, but there's no way for us to get through this episode without discussing it because our park's life plays a big hand in what happened that weekend.
But you should, because you went above and beyond to do what you did, to a point where it makes more sense for you to talk about it, because I still don't have the words. It's been over 2 weeks, and I still feel like I've not thanked you properly for everything that you did for my birthday. I still feel like I can't quite capture how grateful I am to you and everyone else for what they did for me. So as we have discussed on the show, because I am doing this month's slate of movie reviews based on my favorites growing up throughout the decades, we'll just call it what it is. Sean threw me the most epic surprise 40th birthday that I never ever saw coming. In a million years, I would have never seen this coming. My birthday it's May 8th, so it's normally Mother's Day weekend. So I wasn't really planning anything because everybody's usually, especially since we've moved down here, everybody usually goes out of town to see their mom. And I also didn't want to do something down here and have our friends at home feel like they were an afterthought. My plan the whole time, because you and I are going up for a visit over the summer, was to celebrate with them whilst we were up there. And admittedly, I got a little bratty and on your case about we got to start planning stuff so that people can clear their calendars.
There was one day you literally just got mad at me because you thought I was not taking your birthday seriously, which brought me great joy because, number one, we can laugh about it now, but number two, it meant I was doing a really good job of pulling this off because this was 6 months in the making.
Well, that's the other thing. The only thing that I had picked up on was that when I was working on the Hallmark movie, you stepped up so much to take care of everything going on at home. And you told me...
Which I would have done anyway.
Your, of course, but your decoy for me was, I have corporate coming into the restaurant that weekend. If you're going to go up and for a visit, you can't go this weekend.
And this does happen from time to time.
No, and I bought it. But also, I'm sleep deprived. My mind is in a million other places. You would have told me anything. I would have been like, sure, I owe you. Fine. This is fine. Literally, my thought process was probably great. I can sleep for more than 4 hours that weekend. So I really didn't give it a second thought. I just, in my mind, had that weekend blocked out. I was like, that's great. I'm going to relax. And then I got off the film, and I went immediately into launching another project. So if there was ever a time to pull something like this off under my nose, like, this was it. Because my mind has been in a million places for 6 months.
Yeah.
I was shocked at the sheer amount of people that you got there, because, like, it's not like we know that many people in Florida, certainly not as many as we did at home. But the amount of people that you got to come from the island and commit to this and show up for me like this, I was absolutely freaking floored.
It all we had about 40 people at your party, and about 15 of them came down from Long Island.
8 of which stayed in the house for the most epic slumber party of all time.
Yeah, I was kind of like, gee, I hope she's not mad about this, because you didn't know, but we had this down to a T. I was ordering extra sheets, extra pillows, extra air mattresses, but I was doing it through my parents' Amazon account and Venmoing them the money so that it was getting sent to their house in Sarasota so that you weren't picking up on anything.
No, even our neighbors are snowbirds. You're having stuff sent over there.
Yeah.
Like, it was so much fun, like, learning about everything that you had done.
Well, I'm glad you liked it because it was fun planning it, and then we got to the week of, and the air conditioner went.
Oh, God.
And we had to get a new air conditioner.
I can't even imagine how stressed that you must have been.
Honestly, no, at that point I had just given up. I was just like, whatever, I don't care.
It also explains why so many of our friends took such a vested interest in trying to help you diagnose this problem.
Yeah, now you
quickly. No, and I have to circle back to your mom. I have to shout out my mother-in-law because, and this is how well she knows me. She's like, Jacki's going to be surprised and thrilled that so many of her friends are here, for about 10 seconds before she goes, oh my God, I'm going to have 12 people in the house that I didn't know were coming. And she's like, the house is going to be clean. We all know it's going to be clean. But she's going to freak out that the fridge is not like fully stocked. And she set us up with breakfast the next morning after the surprise party. And that was the other thing. It's the week before my birthday. I never expected it. I never saw this coming. You also... We have to shout out Mike and Nicole and Damien because they were the decoy plans. They wanted to go to one of our local breweries, and the plan was that they were coming out for the weekend, and we were going to do the brewery and do a beach day, and that's how I knew people were coming clean the house. I mean, like I said, the house is always clean, it's immaculate. But I made sure it was extra special nice because we were expecting them. And the really funny part was that they were coming with their dog. And we started getting tornado warnings the day of the party.
Watches, not warnings.
Watches. That's right. So I didn't necessarily want to leave Walt by himself. And I was like, why don't you guys just come here? We're not going to the beach, obviously. Like, just come here and we'll figure out what to do. And they were like, no, we want to go to the brewery. And I'm like, don't you want to drop the dog off? No, the brewery's dog friendly. It's fine.
This is like 20 minutes before we're supposed to leave, by the way.
It's amazing that I made it and that you didn't just murder me because I was being so difficult.
No, you were about to have a moment like Saving Mr. Banks. Get on the horse, Pamela. Like, you were about to get one of those moments. Just get in the car and stop asking questions.
But that was it. I mean, it wasn't here at Disney because it was local. I just never expected to walk into that room and see so many familiar faces staring back at me to a point where I thought I was hallucinating at first because you just see everybody you love looking back at you. And I was like, am I losing my mind? And then once I started to see, like, I saw Mike and Nicole because obviously I was looking for them. And then I saw your mom and dad behind them, and then I saw my parents and my aunt, and then it started to click like, oh, stupid, your birthday's next week. Like, this is all for you. Other than just like the initial reaction to the loud noise when everybody else surprised. But what really did it was once I started seeing all of the faces and realizing that they had taken planes, trains, and automobiles to get to me, that was when I just totally lost it. And I couldn't do anything other than stand there with my eyes bugging out of my head. It took like what felt like 3 minutes to fully register what was happening. I just never in a million years expected it, and I can't thank you and all of our family and friends. It was the best birthday that I've ever had, and it was like the most fun week and the best way to close out this chapter, and like just the most beautiful memories now that I have in our home here.
I'm glad, because I could never do this again.
No.
So I'm glad it went over well. We got a shiny new $10,000 air conditioner. Register your warranties, folks, and if you buy a house, make sure that the warranties were registered on all of your appliances.
Seriously, that was not us.
No,
that was not us.
The unit was 6 years old. The previous homeowners didn't register the warranty, and you don't know until it's too late. So,
but now we don't have to worry about it for a while. And you know what? Our house is freezing.
Our house is an icebox. It's great. All right. But let's get through the party itself, and let's talk about
what I remember of it.
Well, folks. Hey, listen. We give you once a month from Dockside Margaritas. Fun was had, okay? The next morning, some of us were laughing off the fun, and some of us were paying for it.
Well, we had everybody back to the house. Because we had stayed at the brewery, like, people hung out for a long time.
Yes.
We were there for what? Like, maybe 6 hours?
4 hours? No, not that long. 4 hours?
I lost...
It was about 4 hours.
I lost all track of time and space.
I didn't, because I had to drive you all home.
So we caravan back home. Some people were smart and started going to bed after several bottles of champagne. What can I say? My friends did it up nice. They're classy folk. I opened some presents because since my family was there, that was the thing. My brother was leaving the next day, so he wanted me to open his gift, and people just started shoving gifts at me at that point. I was like, okay, sure. Then we were up. Orphan closed out the night with us at like 3:30 in the morning, and then we were up by 7 because my parents, you had hit them at an Airbnb. Mike and Nicole had a hotel because they gave up we have dubbed their guest room for everyone else who was in town. There were, I honestly, like, this is why I'm so overwhelmed. Orphan slept on an air mattress in the dining room just to make me happy. Like that. I don't know what to say. Like, I like to believe that I go that hard for my friends, but like just to have it reciprocated all at once like that was just truly, truly overwhelming. But yeah, 3:30 in the morning, and we had to be up by 7 because part of the surprise, you just kept like peeling back layers of the onion, was that we were going to SeaWorld because we can get our friends in, and because they had traveled, you didn't want them to be taking money out of their pockets because they've already paid for the plane. Some of them have paid for a hotel. Some of them have paid for rent-a-cars at this point. So not only did we have our free SeaWorld passes, they were running a discount that weekend, $20 tickets. We got 12 people into SeaWorld.
For $16 a head.
Because when you factored in the 2 freebies, we divided that out amongst everyone. We got my mom, dad, my aunt, my brother, and then all of our friends in for the day for $16 a person. And then, because I wanted to pay it forward, since it was still the festival of the 7 Seas going on, I got us the food pass so that everybody could eat for the day.
Which, again, we talked about it last Dockside chat, for $90, and it's 18 punches. Plus, we had freebies because we're pass holders. So for $90, everybody ate for the day.
That's the thing. I mean,
and it's a home run. I mean, how do you not do it?
We got 12 people into SeaWorld, and I hope none of them are listening because then this is the end of what SeaWorld's generosity. We got 12 people in for $30 a person.
When you factor in the food, yes.
When you factor in the food, yeah. Now, drinks, that's a whole nother story. But, I mean, like, that's the thing. Everybody was so... And that was what was so heartening to see, too. Like, so many of our friends that stayed were from the wedding party, so they've all known each other at least 10 years at this point, probably longer. My other friend, Brandon, and his wife, Amanda, who I met... This is, like, wild, but this is how close we are. I met working on a show during the pandemic when we were already remote. So the fact that, and not that I expect this of anybody, but our wedding party has shown up for us in this way before. To have a friend do this and be willing to stay in a house full of people that they don't know and tag along for the rest of the day, but like just come into the fold as if they had been with us for 20 years, like it was just a beautiful thing to see. And they've said as much. Like I genuinely think everybody just had so much fun. But that's all because of you and because of what you did.
Well, the thing that impressed me the most was how we all, not that we weren't going to get along, but how specifically at a park, how everybody basically got along swimmingly. Because you're talking 12 people of varying age ranges. Some want thrills. Some could hardly handle the car ride there, and that was partly because of the booze the night before. And some of them just get car sick. And then, you know, we were able to just kind of balance it out, like, hey, you know what, I'm not interested in going on a coaster, but I could sit here and have, you know, ceviche from the Food and Wine Festival, and this one wants to hang out with me, and all right, great. So the rest of us will go on this coaster, and the fact that we were all just able to, like, roam around, and that's, it's hard sometimes to do parks with a big group, but I think that a place like SeaWorld, especially when you hit it during a festival, there's so many different things for people to do. You can go on a ride if you want. You can go feed the sea lions if you want. You can go watch the dolphins if you want. You can eat and drink to your heart's content if you want. I feel like that's one of those places there's a little something there for everybody. You know, sans a festival, that might not be the case. And I don't think that that's the case necessarily at every park. You know, if you're not interested in going on attractions or meeting characters, there might not be a lot there for you that's of interest, you know? Like, you may love your resort, you may love the amenities that the resort has. Like, if you don't want to go to the parks, but you want to go spend the day in the pool, you can do that. Or you can go play golf, or go play pickleball. Like, there's a lot of things at each resort that you can do. But to get into one place, and there is literally a little something for everybody, where none of us were bored, everybody had a good time, like, that was the thing I was the most concerned about. And I think the fact that we were able to do that really is a credit to SeaWorld. I mean, they really do put a phenomenal product together.
I mean, it's also a credit to our friends. They're exceptional.
Well, I mean, that goes without saying.
And I honestly, I had the time of my life this weekend, but one of my greatest joys was just seeing everybody just genuinely enjoying each other's company, taking care of each other. Like, do you need water? Do you need to sit? Are you hungry? Like, just watching out for each other like that. It was just the best. It was absolutely the best. Also worth noting, this is funny. So Andrew stayed in town the whole week. He was also going on a cruise out of Miami. So he stayed because he's been saying, I'm going to come visit, I'm going to come see the house, we'll do the parks, we'll do a whole week together. So this was also part of the plan, was that I was basically going to finish out my week with him.
Yeah, you didn't know that was the plan, but that was the plan.
I didn't, and I felt so bad because he's been saying I'm going to come down, and like we figured February, March when it's pleasant, not when it hits 90 degrees. So we figured SeaWorld was good for a park day. We were going to do, you know, we were going to take it a little bit easy.
And we did get lucky with good weather that day.
Oh my God, it was beautiful. It was beautiful because it
was hot on Saturday.
And we were hurting on
Some
Sunday.
were. Some were.
Well, we sweat it out. But I felt bad because he loves Universal. We had said we'll do that, we'll do Epcot, but 90 degrees, it was just too hot. Both of us kind of said, He wasn't going to spend the money because obviously we have the annual pass.
Right.
He didn't want to spend that much money to go sweat it out in the parks for the rest of the week when it was 90 degrees. So he had gotten a timeshare in Orlando. That's where he was hiding out the first night before it was revealed to me what was going on. And a rental car, and this is also what's worth noting about SeaWorld. So we caravaned out there. We have our annual passes, so we get free parking. Andrew would have had to pay, and it would have been cheaper for him to go back to his timeshare that he had rented and Uber over. Timeshare is like 10 minutes from SeaWorld. I was like, I'm not going to make you do that. I will come and get you, and we'll get you in the park. But don't pay for parking. That's ridiculous. So I have Brando and Amanda in the car with me. We're driving up to the timeshare, which I have to get the name of it because it was such a great location. It was... Is it Silver Lake? And now, of course, it's not that. Yes, the Silver Lake Resort in Kissimmee, off of Black Lake Road. Funny enough, this was right around, I knew exactly where it was as soon as he said it, because this was right around where my production office was when we were on the film. So I knew exactly where to go. I pull up with Brando and Amanda in the car, and she goes, I think this is where my parents' timeshare is. I was like, are you kidding me? And she's like, no, I think this is it. I don't remember because they hadn't been there since she was a child. She's like, I don't even think the place is furnished anymore, but she's like, I'm pretty sure this is it. Lo and behold, her parents have a timeshare there.
Small world.
So, I mean, I was not shy about you two have to utilize this more. But funny enough, this is where it's just hysterical, because the two that didn't know anyone coming in now have this in common. I was hysterically laughing over this whole thing. But where I'm going with all of this is that I stayed with Orphan in his timeshare for the rest of the week. And it was so great as a vacation planner to see this place and see what it's like staying off property, because I've seen some of the Airbnbs in the area. I've seen some of the off-property, the Good Neighbor hotels. This resort was so lovely. I got in. There's a foyer, and it opens up to like a kitchenette, which is fully stocked. It's got, you know, a toaster, a dishwasher, sink, fridge, microwave, anything that you would need. A dining table, and then like a large seating area, a balcony, and then off to the right was the primary bedroom and bathroom. So I'm thinking there's like a pull-out couch situation. And considering that this man just slept in our dining room, I was like, if you got a mattress stuffed with glass, I'll sleep on it. I don't care. A bed of nails, fine. He's like, come here, I'll show you to your room. I was like, what? Pulls me back into the foyer, and then I have my own bedroom with 2 queen beds in it and a bathroom that they utilize as like a studio apartment that they rent. I was floored at how big this place was, how nice the amenities were.
Oh, I suck.
Hey, you did everything you could. Everybody had fun. That was the most important. It was an epic slumber party. But it was so nice to see, because in my head I'm thinking like Airbnb.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking, you know, Airbnbs, like they'll supply the toiletries, like the shampoos and the soaps and things like that. They'll be stocked in the kitchen, and they'll also have towels for you and everything. But I thought with the timeshare you might be more on your own. Not necessarily. The kitchen had everyththing that you needed. You just had to obviously buy like your food, your water, that kind of thing. It had towels. The only thing it didn't have was like soap and shampoo. But otherwise, coffee pods it had, it was stocked. And then the pool area, that's what we ended up doing. And we should know better, because anytime that I have vacationed with him and we've made plans, you put us in a pool and we just never want to get out. If there's a swim up bar, forget it. So this pool had like drink specialties all day, like $6 frozen drinks, a fully breakfast, lunch, and dinner served, not all inclusive, but like moderately priced club sandwiches for lunch. Breakfast was like eggs, waffles, toast. Dinner was a really, really nice menu, and like $15 to $17 a plate. And the food quality was really, really good. I was so impressed with this timeshare. I was like, this is wonderful. And like, they do, you know, you don't necessarily have to be bought into a timeshare. People do rent them out, which is how he got it. Absolutely incredible. Location could not have been better. Some of the buildings are facing Animal Kingdom. Like, you can't see it, but if you were to have it would be like a Savannah view, pretty much. That's the area that you're facing. I was so impressed. It was great. And then, you know, because you didn't do enough, you still had to execute the part of my birthday that I knew was happening, so that you didn't look like you did absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
No, I tried to cancel because you did more than enough.
I wouldn't let you cancel it.
Well, neither would Disney.
Well.
So the part of my birthday that I did know, I had decided, because we weren't, or to my knowledge, we weren't planning anything with anyone. I said I would really like to do Discovery Cove. I would love to spend my birthday with a dolphin. I want to rub a belly, and nothing would make me happier. Like, we've been talking about doing it. I was like, I would love to spend my day like that, because we've been enjoying SeaWorld so much. But I love, you know, I was not a horse girl. I was a dolphin and a whale girl, and I was like, I would really love to spend my day that way. And then, so we had made up our mind on that. And one of my bucket list hotels was the Polynesian, which unfortunately wasn't available. But what was the Grand Flo, which I had never considered. That wasn't like a, like a let's splurge on it thing. But we had the annual pass holder 40% off discount, and it brought the room at the Grand Flo in for like $500. After tax, it was a little bit more than that, but you don't see this happening.
Not at the Grand Floridian.
Thank you, Josh Tomorrow. You're a gentleman and a scholar. So we capitalized on that, and those were the plans. And then I felt terrible that after being at my surprise party, your mother-in-law was coming, or my mother-in-law, your mother, was coming back out to stay with Walt for the weekend. And that was more than anything else why I wanted to cancel, so that she didn't have to drive out again. But we did get to spend some of Mother's Day with her, which was part of the incentive of her doing this.
So let's talk about Discovery Cove. I mean, so I agreed to do it on a blind. I didn't know anything about anything other than it was an all-inclusive, so our food and our drinks were included. At least beer and select wines were included, I should say. You can get the liquor package for an upgrade, but seeing as we still had to navigate ourselves to Grand Floridian, and because it was very hot that day, I said, I think a liquor package is a bad idea.
Well, also, I'm 40 now. You have to factor that in. I didn't want to be sloshed and sloppy, and I didn't want to feel like garbage the next day. I wanted to enjoy it and take it all in.
Sure. So
it's not my 21st birthday,
So we get there, and you pull up, and, I mean, it is like pulling into a resort in Hawaii.
Literally. Tiki torches, lush landscaping.
Thatched roof building.
Could have fooled me.
That was beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. The check-in process was very quick. Less than 10 minutes.
I think this is worth noting, though, because one of the things that I had said was, I was like, I don't want to get up at 5 o'clock in the morning for my birthday. I want to sleep a little bit.
Yeah,
Part of the reason that we had also decided to do this when we knew that your mom was going to come and stay with Walt was because it's great value that you're getting at Discovery Cove, but for us to go for 5 hours so that we could get back to Walty in time.
Horrible value.
Yeah, then you're just lighting your money on fire. So that was part of the reason that we decided to do this today instead of going. I also, admittedly, I didn't want to go to a park. I would have loved to have done like Beacon Barrel or something like that because I love pirates. Just something like
something special to you.
Yes, exactly. But I was like, I don't want to go to Magic Kingdom today, which is weird. Like, who are you and what have you done with Jacki? But I just that's part of it. I guess this is me aging. Is I'd rather have a chill day than a park day. So
well, we have enough park days.
Well, yeah. I mean,
if
we were
chill days anymore.
If we were on vacation, if this was the vacation that we had done for my 40th, then absolutely, yo ho. Why is the rum gone? But I didn't want to wake up that late. We knew that Discovery Cove opened at 9 o'clock. We were like, all right, we'll leave at 8 o'clock. We'll get there for 9:30. With our package, you can get a base ticket that just gets you the all-inclusive with the food and the beer package. And then you can either add the shark swim to it or the dolphin swim to it. Or the dolphin, it's encounters. Swimming is not guaranteed. It depends on the mood that day. We're going to put a pin in that because we got stories. But because we wanted to do the dolphin encounter, that was the package that we got. And you had to be checked in by 8:30. Which is smart because it almost acts like a virtual queue. They're giving you a time that you're going to report back for your encounter. So they wanted everybody checked in at 8:30 so that, I mean, they're not going to oversell it. They're not going to do it so that it fills. So we were like, all right, we're going to have to leave the house at 7 and it just is what it is and hope that rush hour is not an absolute nightmare. So we had gotten there, it was like, it was close. We hit a little bit of traffic. I think we got there at like 8:25, but everything was okay. We still got in. They gave us a time. Our return was like 2 o'clock, so we had the whole morning to enjoy and explore before we did our encounter.
We get in, And immediately, I go, oh my God. And now look, I know that these are man-made lagoons, and it's pools, and it's a man-made, lazy river, but I went, my God, it is so clean. My God, it is so lush. Especially after the winter we had, where so many plants died. You take this nice stroll through this scenic walkway, and there's more tiki torches, and it's just like, you look like you're walking the tribal council. Honestly, is what it looks like.
Great cop.
And then you get you open up, and you see where they're going to do your dolphin encounter right in front of you, and then to the right is the Laguna Grill, which is where they do your breakfast and your lunch. And it is noteworthy that you do get 2 meals included in this.
It is all-inclusive. It's not like a cruise where there's different eatery. Well, no, because they have the pizza window, too.
Yeah.
It's not like where there's food open all the time. I mean, like there is, but they give you a time for breakfast. Then they do like a half hour to flip it over for lunch. Then they while that half hour is going on, the pizza window opens. There's different bars, but it's also so smart. To your point, the way that it's laid out, everything just kind of feeds you one into the other. There's no doubling back. There's no like running around the park all willy-nilly. It's just laid out so nicely. And they also give you a waterproof lanyard so that you have your map for the day. Because the assumption is, and that's part of what you're paying for in the all-inclusive, they don't want you to have to be on your phone. Because imagine the liability, how many people's phones get wet, how many people complain.
And the lockers are included as well.
The lockers are included for free. You just have to grab one and take your key with you. But that was nice too, is that they don't expect you to have your phone. They don't expect you to be tied to an app all day long, which was lovely for a change.
Yes. Let's talk about breakfast.
Yeah.
Breakfast was delicious. I mean, a little bit of everything for everybody. You had scrambled eggs. You had, like, the Southwest-style eggs. Mm-hmm. You had bacon. You had sausage. You had all sorts of pastries, parfaits, chicken and waffles.
Huge variety. French toast dippers.
They were good.
That makes a difference.
That's class right there.
I love me some French.
That's class right there.
I do love me some French toast, but when you cut up that piece of bread into thirds and make it a dipper, it's a game changer. It tastes different. It does.
It does.
No, but in all seriousness, it is smart because it's just easy to eat on the go.
No, and soft drinks are included too. So your coffee's included, and then they have the Coca-Cola is the product there. So the Coke machines, and they have Powerade, and that's
so smart.
So smart because
Powerade,
especially in the hotter months, to be able to get the electrolytes, because let's be real. If you're an adult and you're taking advantage of the all-inclusiveness of it all, do not be stupid. You've got to hydrate. You have a long day. Trust me, I hydrated. I was fine. We saw a lot of people. I shouldn't say a lot. Most people were very well behaved. We saw a couple of people that were not okay.
I didn't drink as much as I thought I would, but I also didn't drink enough water. I drank water. You were smarter than I was that day. I'll say that much. The other thing that was really interesting to learn, let's circle back to breakfast before we move on. They did the flamingo run in the morning.
Amazing.
That was so cool. They're just walking down the path with a herd of flamingos. I'm not sure if herd is the right word for a flock of flamingos. But they were just strolling down the path. It was great. So we picked out our locker. We sort of got the lay of the land. We did a lap because we wanted to get 2 lounge chairs, but we wanted to figure out like which beach we wanted to sort of set up as base camp.
But we made sure to get the locker first because the locker was right by the bar. So the lockers, well, they're all basically not a large bank of them are in between Laguna and Hibiscus Hideaway, I think is what it's called, which is where we assumed we were going to be hanging out most of the day. So we made sure to get a locker there early in the morning, which was a good move on our part because they're first come, first serve. Everybody will get one, but you're not buried somewhere having to get to your locker because where those where that bank of lockers is literally where you're going to spend a large part of your day, because it's right by your dolphin encounter. It's right next to the restaurant where you're going to get both of your meals. It's right next to the bar that has the pizza window. So, like, we kind of knew right away, let's just get this now. And we had said, if we find a locker somewhere else that we'd rather use, we'll just move everything over. Mm-hmm. But we knocked that out first, and then to your point, we made sure to walk around and get a lay of the land.
So we ended up setting up like our base camp, so to speak. Well, I'm saying that loosely. Like, everything is in the locker. They are very specific about telling you don't leave anything unattended, which we did see people fall victim to later on in the day, which was unfortunate. But yeah, everything was locked away. We just wanted 2 lounge chairs that we put our towels out on, that we knew that we could get back to and we could kind of claim as our own. So we picked them out between Serenity Bay and the Lazy River.
Yeah.
Which I love. Instead of tubes, they use noodles, so it doesn't get as crowded, or it certainly doesn't feel as crowded. So Serenity Bay, we didn't realize this when we saw it on the map, it has like lounges in it.
Like chaise lounge chairs in the pool.
Just in the water.
Concrete
shallow
chairs, but they're in the shallow end of the pool.
And we spent so much more time there than I thought we were going to, just because it was so relaxing, it was so beautiful. It was in the shade. And
it was right next to the Blue Bamboo Bar, which ended up being the bar that we hung out in the whole time.
Spoiler alert, that had something to do with it. Here's what's really worth noting. Obviously, SeaWorld's Busch Gardens is very concerned with their conservation efforts, which we love. They supply an animal-safe sunscreen. Could you maybe put some sunscreen on before your day starts, let it sink in a little bit, do something like a Serenity Bay or the Lazy River where it doesn't affect the animals, and then reapply with theirs? Probably. And you probably should, because normally I use like an SPF 70. This is an SPF 30. And it doesn't even feel like regular sunscreen. So I put it on, I reapplied, knowing that we were doing the dolphin swim. I would never want to do anything to harm an animal, a mammal. But there is a difference between SPF 30 and SPF 70. And as we sit here, a week and 2 days later, I am still peeling from my sunburn.
I was fine because I have a good base.
Oh my gosh.
As John Candy will say in Summer Rental, I got a good base.
It is almost that time to watch that, huh?
Absolutely. Well, it's always time to watch Summer Rental. It is noteworthy. And I understand, though, why they have to do what they have to do, especially when you're included in a dolphin encounter, when, they have the manta ray snorkeling area with tropical fish, and that's included. So they have to do what they have to do. I think it's worthwhile to live by those rules. But to your point, I think apply early and bring some aloe vera. If you're here on vacation, apply early with maybe like an SPF, like a 120, and then hit yourself with aloe vera as soon as you're done, or like an after sun balm. That way, if you do get burned, you can kind of start healing right away. It's just how it has to be, and I completely understand why. But before we even get into the dolphin encounter and lunch, what blew me away the most was how clean Discovery Cove is.
Everything.
It's
top to bottom.
There are not a lot of places in the world other than our house that I would say I'd eat off the floor. I'd eat off the floor at Discovery Cove. It's so clean, and they do such a... They're meticulous, making sure that everything is sanitary. Like, I could not believe how spotless this place was.
No, and that happens sometimes, like with water parks. You know what you're getting yourself into. Like, you'll see a Band-Aid, you'll see some hair. Is it gross? Yes, but you know where you're at.
This also isn't a typical water park.
But that's exactly my point. There was nothing. I saw nothing in the water, and I am the first one to be like, oh, no. I saw not a thing. The bathrooms were immaculate all day. The food areas were always clean. Everything was wiped down. The pathways were always swept. Like there's nothing. And you know, I joke about that when we leave SeaWorld because they give you the preferred parking pass and they make you put paper in your window that inevitably blows all over the parking lot. And I'm like, way to conserve and take care of nature when you're literally, oh my God. I only had one margarita. When you are literally littering.
I've never had a sheet of paper blow off my windshield at SeaWorld. But
they're
sure.
everywhere. They're everywhere when you leave. But anyway, that's the SeaWorld parking lot. This, they are taking even greater care. And it really shows. And I think part of that is your price point. You know, you're paying for an all-inclusive.
This is
I think
premium.
there's something to be said for that.
There is a premium price point to this.
It's sort of a deluxe experience. But they certainly make it worth your while. Everything so clean. And especially you know, we talked about sitting in Serenity Bay and just kind of lounging. Before our dolphin encounter, we did do the lazy river, which was absolutely lovely. The noodles were great. Like I said, I much prefer that to the tubes. It drops you off. Like, there are some really shallow parts of it to take a break, and then it drops you off to like 8 feet.
Yeah.
And I'll warn you, there's some signage when that happens. There's waterfalls where the water pressure, I was like, this is not for kids. It was intense. And then as you're going through, they have your otter encounter, so you can see the otter enrichment and the otter feedings without even having to get out. They just
swim up and you swim up
great.
to the glass and you watch them. It's fun.
And then same with the marmosets. There's a little monkey island.
Monkey
in the
Island
middle
is
of
what
it,
it's called. Yeah.
And you get to see a feeding and their enrichment too, and that was so great.
That was amazing.
Then we did lunch before we did the dolphins.
No, we did the dolphins
didn't,
first.
Yes, because by the skin of our teeth we made lunch.
This is how you talk about the temperament of the dolphins. This is worth noting. So, if you pay for the pass that includes the dolphin encounter, you're going to get a chance to hang out with the dolphins. We ran about 40 minutes late, and we almost missed lunch. We didn't miss lunch. We made it in the last 10 minutes of lunch, but that's because they explained to us, we're sorry that we're late getting you guys out here, but you know, our dolphins were a little temperamental earlier. We don't force them to do things that they don't want to do, so we don't go until
great.
yeah.
I'd rather hear that. I'd rather hear that.
And they said we don't go until they're ready to go. So, you know, the dolphins were. They wanted to take a little lunch break, I guess, and so it set everything behind. But it was fine. It was worth it. I'm glad they're not forcing them to do anything. And the experience itself was we did a dolphin encounter in Hawaii on our honeymoon. We did a sea lion excursion on a cruise about 12 or 13 years ago. But this encounter with the dolphins at Discovery Cove was the best thing I've ever done. It
was the best. Where we did our dolphin encounter prior was on Oahu. It's actually where they shot 50 First Dates, if you're familiar with the film. There's an aquarium there. So we were in a pool. It's more controlled. This is also controlled, like the sea lion encounter that we did on the cruise. That was in open water, which was phenomenal. But this is a little bit more controlled, but it feels very much like open water. It just feels like a lagoon. So prior to getting in, I love that they weren't so regimented about like, okay, you have to get your wetsuit, and then you have to be here, and then you have to be here. We had our report back time where they show us a video, which really talks a lot about their conservation efforts more than anything else, and then, you know, just the safety protocols of don't put your hand in the blowhole, literally. Yeah. Like, don't be stupid. So we went and grabbed, what was really nice was you didn't need a full wetsuit. A lot of people they do have them available. We had a vest, and that was it. It was great because we had full bathing suits on. I guess for people who show up in maybe like a more loungewear and they'll change, this was great. We just had our bathing suits on, we threw the vest on, easy peasy. They give you plenty of time if you need to use the bathroom before, and then they take you out. So they're running so many of these. There are 3 lagoons that they have the dolphins in. And then within each lagoon, they break you further down into groups of like 8 people. So you're really getting a lot of one-on-one time, and there's an instructor who's telling you all about, you know, the wildlife and what the dolphins are like in the wild. And then another one that's just kind of keeping an eye on the group, making sure everybody understands what's happening, nobody's spooking the dolphins, making sure the dolphins also aren't spooking the group.
Yeah.
Because our dolphin was named Kendall, and boy was she a feisty girl.
She
and
had
I
a
mean
lot of
that
personality.
in the most complimentary of ways. I mean, you're dealing with wild animals. I was never worried about our safety for a second, but like, you just don't want to agitate. I mean, look, if Walt, you know, sometimes you test him the wrong way, he gets annoyed with us.
Yeah.
It's, you know, it's just kind of the nature of the beast. So they brought the dolphin around. We pet her on the back. Then we did some like basic commands. They taught us the hand signals because dolphins don't respond to sound; they respond to visuals. So it was really fun. It was really cute, and I would say we got like a full half hour of interaction. It was a lot for
We
what
got a
you
lot
pay
of time with the
for.
dolphin.
We got a lot of time, and then they call it the encounter because they don't want to call it the swim just for liability. They don't want to promise a swim if the dolphins are not up for it. Some of our group got to swim with Kendall. Then she decided, no, I don't want to do this anymore. So they called in, I think her name was Kayla or Kaya?
Kaya, baby.
So the two in front of us went with her, and then Kendall decided to come back for me. I was like, okay, cool. You know, they tell you how to do everything. Put your hand on the dorsal fin and on the flipper, and she'll just carry you off. So Sean let me go first. It was just the best thing ever, just gliding through the water with the dolphin. It was like my dream come true. And then I made it back to the group, and our instructor's back was turned, and next thing I know, Kendall has taken off with Sean.
Yep.
And then the secondary instructor was like, oh, she went, she's leaving. I was like, where is she going with my husband? I did not know. I thought you were going to free Willy, quite honestly. There was a rock wall, and I thought you two were going back over.
Kendall was like, we're out of here. We're out of here, dude.
But no, and then the second time when you went to rub the belly, she like flipped back over on you. I don't know. You were like the dolphin whisperer that day. It was hysterical, but like everything that was supposed to happen, you got a different experience with her.
Yeah, what can I tell you?
But I just, again, this is another thing where I was just left completely speechless because it was the coolest thing. It was the best day. I had the best time.
And then we went to lunch, and lunch was good. They do like a barbecue sort of thing where there's burgers, dogs. The hot dogs were not good, I'll say that. The hot dogs were disgusting. The burgers were good.
Caribbean jerk chicken, salmon, ceviche.
They had another, well, that's what I was getting to. Like, they have like your traditional stuff, and then they had more elevated stuff. And I think you had the salmon. You were very impressed with it.
It was a coconut. Yeah, it was a coconut. I think a coconut curry salmon, actually. Really, really good. The cook was great. The flavor was awesome. I had that. I had a veggie wrap. The fries were really good.
The fries were bomb.
The pineapple upside down cake you grabbed because they served us.
Oh my god! The pineapple upside down cake was one of the best desserts I've ever had in my life.
Yeah,
it was ridiculous how good it was.
It like the pineapple flavor just saturated the entire cake. It was moist.
Honestly, it was like a Dole Whip cake. It
great.
basically tasted like a Dole Whip in cake form. It was outstanding.
So good, yeah. More so than, and what's worth noting too is that we were down to the wire because we ran late with the dolphin encounter. They weren't like putting everything away.
No,
it wasn't
like,
oh well, lunch is over at 3:30 and you guys are here at 3:15. Too bad, so sad. You get what you get. No, there was still plenty of food. It was great.
Plenty of food. Oh, the mac and cheese was good too.
That's it. I knew there was something I was forgetting.
Mac and cheese. That was
mac
good.
and cheese was pretty bomb. It was great.
I mean, and the flatbread pizza. We had flatbread pizza.
Oh, we did. That's
That was
right.
good.
That was from the separate window. Yeah.
That was
Yeah.
very good, and they gave you a few slices. They give you however many you wanted, and I think there were 4 different pizzas to choose from.
That we grabbed before the dolphin encounter because we knew we were going to be probably up against it at that point because we were supposed to go to lunch before.
Yeah.
So we did the pizza. That was great.
The hot cookies,
Oh, snap.
hot chocolate chip cookies would come out at each bar. They're smart about this, and were kept under heat lamps, individually wrapped, all day long. They were some of the best chocolate chip cookies I've ever had.
Yeah.
They were phenomenal.
They really, really were.
The quality of the food was great. My only critique about the place is that it closed too early. I wish it would have been open a little bit later, but it is noteworthy that now I've not gone and checked to see what the standard operating hours are.
6.
Okay, so for us it
It's
closed
9 to
at
6.
5 because they did have a private event that evening. Now, if somebody's willing to pay to shut the place down, hey, go for it.
And they are also doing like ticketed events at night. I
know.
think that's what this
I saw
was.
that. They're doing like a nighttime event.
Sort of like Glow at H2O.
Well, no, they're doing one this summer, which I was going to suggest to you, but admittedly, the menu's a little too adventurous for me to justify the price point, because the event runs for like 3 hours, so we could fit it in. It's like $110 a person.
It's not awful.
It's not bad.
It's like a half-price ticket for half the time.
Live music, and you walk around. I don't think you go in the water, but there's live music, there's entertainment. Basically you're going to a luau, but with a very adventurous, in my opinion, adventurous menu. So for me, it's not worth it, but it is worth it for people that are thinking about doing that. They are going to run that as a summertime event.
Yeah. No, that's a really good value for what you're getting.
I think
Speaking
so.
of good value, the merch, they took our AP discount.
Yes, they took our AP discount from SeaWorld on the merchandise, and we were able to get a couple of really nice items there, some nice keepsakes. We each got a hat. I got a shirt from the Blue Bamboo Bar, and we got my mom a nice sweatshirt for coming and watching Walty.
It was just truly the most magical day.
And I will give you a hint, a little tip, because I mostly go into these things on a blind. However, I did watch some vlogs in the couple of days that led up to going, just because I said, you know what, this seems like something I may want to... I'm not afraid of things getting spoiled. I think I may want to be a little bit informed. And the best piece of advice I got, other than knowing that check-in time ran between 7 and 8:30, was if you have water shoes, bring them, because you can wear them in and out of the pool as opposed to flip-flops. I have water shoes because I wear them when I paddleboard. I was glad that I saw that tip, otherwise I would have had my flip-flops, which would have been fine. They do sell water shoes. You are going to pay a premium for them, but if you have water shoes, bring them, and if you prefer to just have something you're going to wear on your feet all day and you don't have water shoes, but you intend on going to Discovery Cove, that may be something worth purchasing ahead of time and then bringing it on your vacation.
That's great. I'm really glad that you bring that up because, that's really worth noting. I was in flip-flops by choice, but I stayed in them. I stayed in them with the laser. Like, I am not the type of person who can go into a bathroom without shoes. That's just not happening.
Right.
So it was fine when we were in Serenity Bay for the lazy river. I took them off and I held them in my hands just because I couldn't paddle in the 8 feet with them.
Yeah.
But that is also worth noting, ladies, you're going to ruin your pedicure because the lazy river, there's just so many rocks. It just is what it is. But I don't care. Let that be the worst of my problems. The other thing worth noting, we still had such a full day because we opted to relax. We didn't get to go snorkeling
With the manta
in the
rays,
cold, which I would have liked to do, but honestly, it didn't make or break the day. Like, I know they sanitize everything, I know it's clean, but to not have to put the snorkel gear on.
We have snorkel gear in the attic,
Yeah.
or at least I do. I don't think you do.
I don't.
Which I have when I
But
bought.
when they had this attraction over at SeaWorld, I did it and it was fine. Like, everything's sterile, everything's completely sanitized. But if that was the one thing, I think with the extra hour, had the park not closed early because of the private event, we would have been able to get that in. But we opted to enjoy the bar and sit in the bay that we love so much.
We wanted to just relax because, as we said a few minutes ago, that's just not what we've ever really done on vacations. You know,
not to mention, you moved mountains for me.
I was done.
You deserved
I was done. I was done. I was tired. So we left from there. We did not change. This is noteworthy. We left from there and went to Grand Flo. And we had checked in. You had checked in on the My Disney Experience app, so we didn't have to go to concierge. We got our room number on the app. And I always thought to myself, gee whiz, oh golly, wouldn't it be nice to stay at the Grand Floridian someday when I was a kid? Never did I think that I'd walk in there looking like Cousin Eddie. I'm in my water shoes that I bought at a campsite 15 years ago. Well, 10 years ago. I'm in a rash guard that I bought from the clearance rack at Ron John 15 years ago. The nicest thing on me at that point was my bathing suit, because at least I bought that at Tommy Bahama, so I kind of fit in at the Grand Flo. And I walk in, and they're like, welcome to the Grand Floridian. And I'm like, hi, thanks.
And we're red. We are beet red.
No, not we. We're not speaking French. You're red. I had a good base. You were red.
All right, fine, fair.
But it's just the visual must have been amazing.
No, and any other time that we have been in the Grand Floridian, it's because we're probably having dinner either there, or we're going to like Steakhouse 71 or something, and we're on the monorail. So we're like dressed a little bit nicer. There's a little nope. The time that we stay there, and this is on brand for us too, because we've probably told this story on the podcast before. We weren't podcasting when it happened. When we were fortunate enough to snag a reservation at Victoria and Albert's for around our 1 year anniversary of being married. You snagged it because that was like a bucket list. Well, no, also you lost a bet. That's why we did it. And that's why I always joke about if Sean loses a bet, that's what I want. So we were going to dinner, and we arrived a little bit early before the reservation. We got some Coronas at the bar. And naturally, like the Coronas come out of the bar at Citricos. We have not even dropped the lime in yet. And they're like, Mr. and Mrs. Croft, your reservation is ready. They bring us into the restaurant. Mr. and Mrs. Croft, would you like an iced glass for your beers? And we go, nah. Like the classy couple that we are. And we were drinking out of the bottle that night. So, like, any time that we have, like, quote-unquote belonged at the Grand Floridian, we're
it's a not so subtle reminder that we're probably not supposed to be there. At least I was carrying my polo shirt on a hanger, so they knew that I was going to change into something.
At some point. But this is also worth noting because it's like you don't know what you don't know, having never stayed there.
Right.
We are used of the value resorts and the moderate resorts, all of which have separate buildings. What you forget about these original monorail resorts is that they are smaller. That's why they are priced the way that they are, because basic supply and demand. There just simply are not as many rooms. What goes with the not as many rooms is that there are not as many parking spaces. So it's not like when you're at Port Orleans staying in the Magnolia building, for example, or Coronado staying at one of the casitas, Caribbean Beach staying in the Aruba section, where you have your own lot adjacent to the building. There are 2 lots at the Grand Floridian, and when one of them fills, you get put into the lot by the wedding pavilion, which is over by Wailulu.
We were closer to Wailulu than we were to our actual room.
So, not a big deal. We didn't have like a ton of luggage. It was only the overnight, like you said, you had your polo on a hanger. I had the rollerboard with me. So like, it was fine. It's just that we weren't prepared for it. And had I known, I would have had you drop me off the front with the luggage parked and then walk, rather than walk the entire property with the bags and everything on us. Worth it though for the location. We were in the Sugarloaf building, and as soon as I saw where we were, I was like, oh my God, we have the Gasparilla view of the castle where I've sat there in the morning with a cup of coffee watching the double Monoreels pass in front of the castle. The angle was slightly different because we were on the first floor, closer to Gasparilla, so you have, you know, like some of the scaffolding on the building in front of you. But my God, what a view. It was incredible. It's worth noting, we had made a reservation for Citrus Coast that night. That was where we were going to celebrate my birthday, but knowing that we were all-inclusive that day, I was like, are we really going to want to eat? No, probably not. More on that later, because that comes back around to bite us, that decision. So we change, we dress up, we go to the new Perch Bar, which we've been to before. This was our second time.
Really nice spot.
We had a couple of drinks. We listened to the pianist, and that was it. That was all I wanted. That was just, I just wanted to relax, and I had enjoyed the day so much at Discovery Cove. I just wanted to chill, have a drink, and make it back to the room for happily ever after. Because we also bought champagne.
We had a bottle of champagne in the room.
That was it. You dragged the cooler through the lobby.
No, I didn't.
Yes, we had a cooler for the champagne.
We took it out of the cooler.
Did we?
Yeah.
So then we
had
just
it
had
in
a
your
bottle.
We
yes.
had it in your beach
okay,
bag.
That's right. We didn't have a fully loose bottle, but it's, you know, not much better.
If anything, it was worse, but, you know.
Back to that, the ice machines.
They're not on the first floor. But there's no signage for it. The second, third, and fourth floor have ice machines. The first does not. And I think that's because they don't want people just walking into the buildings, helping themselves to ice, and going back to the pool and filling their coolers up. Because it was also noteworthy, and this is how you know, like, you're in, like, the big money resort. You don't have to scan your Magic Band or your pass or your phone to get to the pool.
No.
They have gates, but anybody can go into them. You know, if you're staying as a resort guest, you don't have to scan it every time you go in and out.
That was one of the things that was slightly surprising to me, was that, I mean, there were such lovely amenities. Like, the bathrooms were incredible. The double sinks outside of the toilet and the shower, which you do find at most resorts, but like the hand soap and the lotions. Then the way that the closet is tucked away on the side with the safe and the blow dryer, all of the cubbies, all of the storage, the seating area in the room, the table, the coffee maker, like everything. Just the lighting in there.
The place is no joke. I mean, they did not miss a single mark.
No, they didn't. And the theming it to Mary Poppins, I enjoyed that so much more than I thought I was going to. There were just lovely touches, and the amenities are worth the price tag. However, there were certain things that for the price tag I was a little taken aback by, such as the parking situation, such as the ice machine. But, you know, this is why we do this. We learned, we're sharing our experience so that you know better. And if you go, I just implore you to wear your finest swimwear when you're walking through that lobby, because you'll have a great memory, regardless of what anybody else thinks. I hope we're in somebody's TikTok, honest to God.
But what an evening spent on the little patio with the champagne, watching the fireworks. Phenomenal. Then we decide, after drinking champagne, hey, we're hungry, let's get a pizza from Gasparilla. Because when we looked earlier, I had toggled ahead to like 11:30 at night to order ahead on the app, and it said pizza would have been available. So I'm like, all right, I'm not going to worry about it now. Maybe we won't be hungry. What a stupid thing to think. So I didn't order anything. So then it's like 10:30 at night. We're like, all right, let's order that pizza. Well, I go into the My Disney Experience app and go to mobile order, and my two options are a sugar cookie and a chocolate chip cookie. That's it. Those are my only two options.
No, and it's like, you're at the Grand Floridian. For that price, you should have a butler, for crying out loud.
Well, you'd think that you would at least have a late night option. So then I call the front desk and I say, hey, do you still do pizza delivery to the room? Because we used to get pizza delivered over in Pop Century. Well, they don't do that anymore. So we go, all right, we'll just go to DoorDash and we'll get a pizza delivered. And this poor man, our delivery driver got a flat and he couldn't make it. So we ended up having to order a stuffed crust from Pizza Hut. Now, at this point, I'm just so hungry. and admittedly drank half a bottle of champagne. I just want something. It's me, 2 ladies cleaning the lobby, and the one overnight guy at concierge. It is 1:15 in the morning at this point, and now I'm going to ride or die with it, because I don't care. I want my pizza. When finally the pizza arrived, I got back to the room. You were dead to the world.
I was unconscious. A week of sun and fun, because, like I said, besides Discovery Cove, I have now done 2 pool days with Orphan Andrew, and then we've gone out, at night. I hadn't stopped since the moment everyone yelled surprise.
Yeah. Neither had I, which is why I drank a plentiful amount of champagne. But I had a few slices. I went to bed.
This band is sick.
I go to bed, wake up the next morning, and we did have a Beacon Barrel reservation, which we chose to cancel because other than hanging out in the room, we really hadn't, and then going to the perch, we hadn't really enjoyed the amenities at Grand Flo. And we said for the money we spent, we should really experience the resort.
Well, but that wasn't the mentality going in. The mentality going in was experience what it is like to stay at a monorail resort for the convenience of getting to the parks. And I didn't want to do rides or anything. I just wanted to do Beacon Barrel. I was like, all right, I'll go into Magic Kingdom for that. But I said it before, you get me in a pool and I'm a different person.
So we canceled Beacon Barrel. We ended up just hanging out at the pool all afternoon. Ate the rest of the pizza for lunch. That was great.
Because we already weren't classy enough. Now we've got pizza in to-go boxes that you went to Gasparilla to get. So that we didn't, because that was the whole thing. When we were going to go to Beacon Barrel, we were going to check everything at Bell Services.
Yeah.
And not take it out to the car.
Right.
Because it was a hike.
We changed everything on the fly.
Yeah, but that was it. We didn't want to walk all the way back to the car, nor did we want to leave the pizza in there. So we just got the to-go box. We put it in smaller boxes, basically.
Yeah. But we ate it, and that ended up being lunch, so it was well worth it.
Oh, yeah.
Got a couple of cocktails from the pool bar, little hair of the dog. Pool bar was really nice. And I'll tell you, the food, had we not had the pizza, I would have ordered food there, because there is something to be said for you're at the Grand Flo. So these food options at the bar, they are a step above. It's roasted turkey club sandwiches. It's an elevated menu for a pool bar. But we were not at the primary bar. We were at the primary pool. We were at the courtyard pool. It was much quieter. There were less people there until about 2:30 in the afternoon. Then people who had rope dropped were coming back to the hotel because they'd had their fill in the morning. Now they're coming back to jump in the pool before they go take a shower and go out for the evening, either to go back to the parks or go to dinner. That's when it started to get very crowded. It didn't matter because we were on our way out anyway.
Worth noting, though, what I loved about that pool, aside from sitting in the shallow end, they let you, I don't want to say take your drinks in. Although we did see people doing that, and they were kind of loosey-goosey with the rules. You can have your drink on the ledge of the pool, wherever you're at, which is really nice that they don't make you... I think it might be different for the kids. I don't think they want them running through with the virgin drinks. But it was so nice and relaxing to be able to sit there and not have to wait till we got back to the chair to have a cocktail.
All in all, Grand Flo is Grand Flo. And I mean that in all the right ways. It's exactly what you think it's going to be. I think it was worth the money. I will tell you that I personally, and it's just a matter of taste, I would stay at the cabin at Fort Wilderness before I went back to Grand Flo, but that's just a player preference thing. I put Grand Flo as number 2 on my list behind Fort Wilderness.
I absolutely loved it. I would 1,000% do it again. There are other hotels I do want to try and scratch off the bingo card before we were to go back.
Yeah.
But if you are so inclined, for the amenities, for the convenience of getting to Magic Kingdom, you really can't beat it. It's wonderful. But personal taste, I agree with you. I loved Fort Wilderness. That was, and I mean, it's also different because we got to take Walty with us. But as far as having the kitchen, that was a better amenity than anything that we had in the room, I think.
And Crockett's. Being able to get on a bus and go to Crockett's.
Yeah.
There was just more there for us personally.
Sure.
But I would
loved
absolutely.
it.
I loved it. I
absolutely
would do
loved
it again.
It was the best night. It was the best day. It was the best night. It was just truly, truly the best week. I had the time of my life.
And then we ended up at the end of the week somewhere where I had kind of hoped that we would have been on your birthday weekend when we were at SeaWorld, because we had initially planned on going to City Walk after SeaWorld, and we were all just so tired we went back to the house.
And then everybody was flying out the next morning too.
The biggest reason for that, though, was because the Retro night over at Red Coconut Club had not opened yet.
So we had blown this up on our last Dockside chat because we were told about it.
By a team member.
By a team member. What's been shocking is how little promo I've seen for it.
Yes.
Like, I get that we're all in HHN mode at this point, and we're halfway to Halloween, and we're getting ready and anticipating those house announcements. But Universal has announced a lot of refurbishments. They're talking about the hot dogs at City Walk. That's going to become a fat one. Joey Fatone is going to have his hot dog stand there. We know that Finnegan's is closed, but because that's being refurbed right now, they've also announced what they're going to do for the Poseidon's Fury area and the Mythos restaurant. They're listening to the critiques of there's not a lot of sit-down restaurants. So there's been so much that's been announced, but that said, I feel like mum's the word when it came to Retro Coconut. I feel like it was such a soft launch, and thank God we knew about it beforehand, because I don't know that we would have
never even known that this was happening.
Well, I would have, because I did see it when I was with Andrew for Devil Wears Prada. I did see the outside at the very least. But I would have been like, what are you doing there? It
is 80s, 90s Universal Studios from when it first opened, just thrown on the walls. It is my second favorite theming that I've ever seen in the Red Coconut Club.
Think like Saved by the Bell intro with all of those crazy patterns and geometric shapes. That's what the decor, literally no exaggeration. You walk in, on your right, there's the booth seating and wall-to-wall CDs reflecting back at you. Like the back of a CD though, so the metallic side, no covers. Then you go into the first bar area. There's a giant light bright, which I loved. You step into the main dance floor area. They have the old school neon Universal logo atop the DJ booth. Then I love the melting disco balls everywhere. That's such a nice piece of decor that they've got. They have lava lamps everywhere. They have VHS tapes stacked. And don't for a second think that I did not look at every single one of them for Easter eggs. One of them. Well, we're gonna talk more about this later. That's our talk topic, so we'll put a pin in that. We're gonna do our HHN house predictions. So I won't get too much into the Easter eggs that we found. Then you go upstairs. They have the photo booth. They have free play arcade games.
It's an arcade upstairs is what they did.
The slinkies hanging from the ceiling. It's just so cool. And the soundtrack was perfection.
The bar upstairs is the prize desk from the arcade, where you'd go redeem your tickets.
Clever. I mean, they should have been doing that the whole time. Redeem your tickets for tequila. That would have made Chuck E. Cheese a whole different experience.
Being able to go and play the games that I played in the arcade when I was a kid growing up, and seeing the original Universal Studios Florida sign in a neon on the wall, it brought me back. It was a time capsule. It brought me back to a place in time where I fell in love with Universal Studios before I fell out of love with it again, before I fell back in love with it. But it brought me back to my childhood. This is, if you are of a certain age, this pulls at your heartstrings. It is worth noting that previous iterations of the Coconut Club is open from 5 p.m. until, say, midnight or 1 in the morning, to Thursday through Sunday. This iteration of the Coconut Club is open Wednesday through Sundays, but it does not open until 6 p.m.
and it's only going to run through mid-July because then they're going to start flipping it over for the Dead Cove.
They're going to have to flip it for Halloween Horror Nights. But yeah, that was a wonderful, wonderful time. And then we went over to the Swan and Dolphin, where we had dinner with our dear friends Will and Jordan, and we went to Rosa Mexicana, which we haven't been to in just about 4 years.
Probably since the first year we went. So that was like a Manhattan staple for me. There was one about 3 blocks from my office when I was working in the city, and there were many lunches that extended past an hour at Rosa Mexicana. The food is excellent. I think the food is a little bit better at the Manhattan location, but that's not to say it's not good here. Menu's great. Menu's the same. Staff is wonderful. Yeah, it's really good. It's solid. It's nice to be able to still go.
And it's just a nice resort to spend some time in. It's fun to walk around. There's a lot to do and see. If you wanted to go to the boardwalk, you can walk right there to the boardwalk. And they will, at least at that restaurant, they will validate your parking. Otherwise, you're in for about $50 to park your car.
What's also really nice is that they are technically like, they're not like a Disney good neighbor. I mean, they sort of are. They're owned by Marriott. They are a Disney property. They are a Disney hotel. You still get to book the restaurants on My Disney Experience, but since they are Marriott, you can use your points and your discounts there, which is a really nice benefit.
So then this evening, we kind of came to Disney Springs without a plan.
Rare
we have for us.
Plan. But it's that time of year. You kind of don't need one.
Yeah, you can sort of shoot from the hip. And we decided to do something that we have not done before. It's been on our list for a long time. We finally decided to try it. And we went to Wolfgang Pucks here at Disney Springs. And I was all set on, I'm getting a burger. I'd love to have a burger from Wolfgang Puck. I bet it's going to be amazing. And then we walked in the door, and I saw the pizza oven. And immediately, my inner Dave Portnoy said, one bite, everyone knows the rules, which you might be getting sort of a one-bite challenge-esque in a few moments. Pause on that. I went, now I've got to have the pizza. This place, wonderfully decorated. I really like the decor in there. Kind of has like a farmhouse look, which you don't expect from Wolfgang Puck, and I don't think the menu necessarily reflects that, but it doesn't mean it's not aesthetically pleasing.
It's very simple. It's kind of like either deluxe burger or Blaze, but like a little bit more elevated. Sort of in the vein of Chef Art, like it's all in that area of Springs. So I think the interior decor sort of carries over, but it's slightly more elevated.
So we got the pizza. I got the margarita pizza. You got the sausage.
The sausage, which is like a white slice, but with sausage and spinach and Fresno peppers. So little heat on there, but you can pick them right off if you don't like them.
I would go so far as to say that Blaze is very good. And I love the pizza window at Epcot. I love the pizza window at Epcot after a few cocktails around the world. But I like the pizza window at Epcot. I think this is the best pizza on property.
Wow.
Paper thin crust.
Yeah.
Really good sauce.
Really crispy crust.
Really good crisp on the skin and a nice quality cheese. It didn't have the pull that I wanted it to have, but it's also not that kind of pizza either. It's very more like a traditional margarita pizza.
And for mine, the sausage, crumble, not slice. Can't ask for better.
Yeah, it was really, really good. Now, that's how I felt about the pizza. However, we did spend a lot of time talking about Discovery Cove. And I did promise that you'd be getting some sort of challenge. It's time for a Tendy Throwdown. We're doing a Tendy Throwdown here at Discovery Cove. Now, I know that we enjoyed, or at least I enjoyed, the chicken tenders over at SeaWorld. Now, this is technically SeaWorld, but there is a caveat here. Here at the Laguna Grill, it is a buffet-style experience, so they have been sitting under a heat lamp. I don't necessarily want to take points away for that, but I'll tell you this. If they are still high quality, I almost feel like I have to award bonus points for that, And I know that when we sat, Jacki said that the French fries were screaming hot. So I think that there is something to be said for that. So, it looks like the SeaWorld tender. They're hot in my hand. And they've been sitting here for at least 5 minutes because I went and got a beverage. So let's see. SeaWorld tenders slap. They're so good. Like, there's no reason why. The breading on it is perfect. The crunch on it is perfect. It's got a ton of flavor. It's a nice, juicy piece of chicken. I mean, you can tell it is a frozen tender because the breading is sort of like a shell, so it's coming off slightly. However, the taste is there, and I'm wondering if part of that separation comes from the fact that it could have been sitting under a heat lamp for 15 minutes. I don't know. Got a good crunch. This is a good quality piece of chicken. I'm going to give it a 9. I'm going to give this one a 9. And I think that you have to award bonus points for it being under a heat lamp. Because otherwise, it may have been a borderline 8.5, but I'm going to go ahead and give this one a 9. Well done, Discovery Cove. We are now halfway to Halloween. I'm sitting here looking at my little jack-o'-lantern straw charm, courtesy of our friends at Hidden Mickey Supply Co., and we're starting to see Halloween roll out early, because if you are staying at Walt Disney World, actually anybody at this point can get a ticket to Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween Party. They're on sale to everybody, whether you have a resort reservation or not. Hallow Scream at SeaWorld is already starting to sell discounted tickets, and but
I know.
Like, we're still waiting. Like, what's going on over here, Universal?
HHN, the one that's holding out on it. That's okay. We know we're gonna do Rush of Fear. I'm also wondering if they're gonna go rogue and like throw like an Epic Pass plus a ticket to HHN. Like, I'm wondering if they're gonna try and capitalize on the success and piggyback Epic over to HHN, or I'm wondering if they're gonna spread it out. I don't know, but I can't wait. This is a carrot that is being dangled in front of us, so I want to lock in predictions, because supposedly last year around this time you had the halfway to Halloween. That's when we got a lot of the announcements. Our friend Matt told us from Matt and Alex Vlogs.
Yeah.
Last year they announced them Thursday at halfway to Halloween at 10:34 a.m., 10 for October, 34 for Halloween Horror Nights 34. This year, supposedly, it'll be the Thursday going into Memorial Day weekend at 10:35 a.m. So you best believe I will be glued to my phone at that point. But I do want to sort of lock in our predictions, because the rumors, you know, like we're tracking them from very early on, and you know, there are these YouTubers who go so hardcore with the patents, and they figure out which house is which, and they're
better than we are.
They're way better than we are, and they know so much more of the lore so that they can figure it out better than we can. But I feel like we've seen enough Easter eggs now to lock in a couple of things for ourselves. So we know for a fact we're getting Jack and Octo.
I'm so excited. And the merch that is coming out right now is phenomenal.
Yeah, super stoked for that. That's official. That is happening. The other thing that I think we can say with 99% certainty, we always get a music house. This year, Jack Osbourne all but confirmed it would be an Ozzy Osbourne themed house. I'm super excited for the possibilities here. Super shocked that it's not a Thriller house, because Universal released Michael this year, which we did just see.
And I had said that to you. A Thriller house was what I had predicted, and you had the same thing in your mind. Boy, would that be a great house.
But, because that's the thing, you're not going to do a Michael house. Right? With respect to the artist, you're not going to do a haunted house with Michael. Thriller, you can get away with.
Yeah.
They also have an entire year to capitalize on that. So, based on the other Easter eggs that we've seen, hit me with your predictions.
I'm going with Wolf Creek. I'm gonna stay with Wolf Creek.
Dying on that hill, are you? Okay.
The fact that we got the Head on a Stick T-shirt. Nobody has ever said Head on a Stick other than that movie. That line, Head on a Stick, is so tied to that film.
It's also so niche.
I don't think that matters, though. If anything, it helps because it would be cheaper to acquire those rights to put it into a house. And I think people would look. You have people are going to go into houses just because they're going to go into houses. You can get so twisted with that house. If we didn't have that T-shirt folded up inside the tribute store during Mardi Gras, I wouldn't die on this hill. And I might be wrong. I probably am wrong. I'm wrong about a lot of my predictions. Well, no, I'm wrong about half. I'm pretty good. I'm about 50-50. I have a very strong feeling that we're going to get a Wolf Creek house.
So that would be an IP. So we would have Ozzy and Wolf Creek.
Wolf Creek and right, as IPs.
Okay.
I don't know if we're getting Universal Monsters back or not.
Okay.
We both picked up on the same clue, though, inside of the Retro Coconut Club, but I'm going to let you go ahead and mention that when it comes time for your predictions.
Admittedly, I had forgotten about Wolf Creek. Okay. Do you have more? Because I have that one, and I have another one that I have like a pretty strong case for.
I can't think of anything else, honestly.
So, for the classic monsters, I'm thinking...
Because Thriller would have been my other one, but we got the Ozzy announcement. Well, we got the unofficial Ozzy announcement.
I'm thinking either next year, or I'm wondering if Hollywood gets that, because we don't get the same houses.
Not all the time.
So, I would say...
I know, Hollywood's getting
down but not out.
They're getting Killer Clowns from Outer Space this year. I wish we were getting Killer Clowns from Outer Space.
And we're going in like 2 years.
Oh, well. Well, we wouldn't be going in the fall. Anyway.
I know. All right, so for our classic monster prediction, it's got to be Creature. Because in the Mardi Gras Red Coconut, Cursed Coconut, the upstairs bar had a newscast that said Creature from the Bayou. Now, we've got the Retro Coconut. One of the VHS tapes said Yeti of the Swamp. So there's got to be some kind of bayou, but if we're going to lean into the classic monsters of it all, it's got to be Creature. It's got to be. And especially because there's always something where they do a pool. They had Quiet Place with all of the water in it. If you ask me, not doing Jason's Mother in the middle of Camp Crystal Lake was a huge miss last year. But if we're going to have some sort of water feature house, it's got to be Creature. The other big thing...
I do think we are getting a Yeti from the Bayou house, though. I think that's going to be something.
You think that's the name of the house over Creature?
I think we're getting that house, and I think we could also get a Creature house, because they dropped Creature a few times, and we've seen the Camp Yeti. I can see them...
Camp Yeti.
You were not at that Horror Nights. I was. I can see us getting another Yeti house.
Or maybe Yeti is just a hat tip, and we are getting... I don't know. I feel like they're not going to do both, though.
I think we can get both.
My other big, bold prediction, I had to call in a vacation because they needed to make an adjustment that I couldn't take care of online, so I was talking to the cast member. This was months ago. She mentioned, and we noticed a lot of, like, the dolls in the tribute store. She mentioned there were also a lot of angels, which I didn't necessarily pick up on until I was like going back and like reviewing some of the videos that I had taken. And I was like, angels is kind of like, that doesn't scream haunted to me unless you're doing something like the what was it, the Spanish monsters oh my gosh,
El Artista?
Thank you. No, not El Artista. It was that gothic cemetery,
from a couple of years ago. Yeah.
Like that.
It's been a long couple of weeks, folks. Give us a break.
And this is why we don't do YouTube predictions. That I feel like you could maybe lean into the same, but I'm wondering if it's like a Saints and Sinners kind of a theme. And that's what the angels are nodding towards. So that's like really all I got. Everything else is just kind of, I feel like, a reach for me at this point. But gosh, just give us something.
Yeti, you know what? Yeti of the Bayou, the more that I think about it, let's say it could be a scare zone.
No, but also there's another Yeti clue, because remember they did the postcard in the Mardi Gras house?
Yeah.
And they were poking fun at Disney, and they were like,
Yes.
the only working Yeti in Orlando. It's gotta be. It's gotta be. It's gotta be a Yeti house. I think you're right. Yeah, all signs point to Yeti, for
All
sure.
signs point to Yeti, and all signs point to Halloween. So with that being said, even though we are a few months out, I am going to give a straw charm, courtesy of our dear friends over at Hidden Mickey Supply Co., to the first person who emails or DMs us the word spooky, because we're getting ready for spooky season. You can email us monoreelradio@gmail.com, or you can send us a DM on all forms of social media at Monoreel Radio. Thank you all so much for joining us this and every week on Monoreel Radio. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and rate us on your podcast platform of choice. I just gave you all that social media. You can follow us on all major platforms at Monoreel Radio, and for links to everything related to the show, it is going to be online at monoreelradio.com. For Jacki, I'm Sean. Have a magical week, everyone.